All right. Let's see. So go ahead and get this going real quick for y'all. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Appreciate you showing back up for the Light Leadership Series. Light Leadership Series.
All right. Let's see.
All right,
boom. Go ahead and get this going real quick for y'all.
Boom. All right. I don't think I got an echo anymore. I killed that. Yeah, I killed the echo. So boom. Light Leadership Series. Just to reset the room for y'all. This is the Light Leadership Series where I tackle topics that as they pertain to mindset development, career ascension education, and leadership cultivation. I believe that those are the main three pillars that we have deficits in, specifically as it pertains to us as men that have gone through the student athletic realm and transitioned into a lifestyle of grown men, manhood. This is also for women and for children and for whoever wants to tap in and be able to reach their highest selves. But I speak from my own point of reference because that is my home base. And today is going to be a special episode for me because I'm going to really attack some different topics that have to deal with I guess they deal with why, right? And I want to really dive into an idea called the game theory. But before I get into the game theory, I want to tell you guys to make sure you go cop my book, Blessed to Have Received an Offer From. It's available on Amazon. It's available on exlibris.com. It's available on barnesandnobles.com. It's a $20 book. It's a success manual for student athletes, coaches, and their families. Anybody looking to take an athlete's life to the next level. It's a great gift for signing day. As we know, those will come up soon. Nothing better than to give a young, bright, budding star in your family a tool to be able to secure the things that they've earned throughout life. There's so many times I see these mothers, man. I look around in the community, I see these mothers, they go so hard for their babies, man. They do these fundraisers and they send their kids to these camps and they pray for these children and they make sure they take care of their grades. And I just would really appreciate if these mothers would really pour as much energy into the security of information, because we control by what we don't know. If you know a student athlete, man, get them the information, because we are always going to be controlled by what we don't know. Man has a very strong desire to be protected. All right. I'm gonna say it again. Man has extremely strong desire to be protected, and you have to understand that. And if you don't understand that that's the nature of a human, then you may be walking around here believing that you're protecting yourself from something that's the boogeyman. It's not real. You don't want to be afraid of things that are not present. Fear is really false evidence appearing real. Once you unlock your mind, unlock that light within, and really find out what this world is affording you and the options that are afforded to you, then you'll never walk in fear again. You'll walk in strength, you'll walk in courage, and you'll walk in understanding. So that's what the book is about. That's why I created a book. And we're gonna really get into it, man. Before I dive into game theory, I'm really gonna dive into why, man, because you got a lot of people now that are talking on the Kyrie Irving situation, the Kanye West situation. We're talking about those two industries. You got entertainment and you got sports, and you have black men, and you see these black men that have reached, you could say the pinnacle of their athletic and entertainment careers, but they've spoken out and said things that have been controversial and now have been attacked and essentially chastised in front of the public eye. And it's really important that, we understand that why you do things is important. Why you do things is important. why do you go to work every day? You know, why do you go to school every day? Why do you choose to hang out with the people you hang out with? Why don't you choose to hang out with certain people? You have to always reverse engineer the why and everything. Without being able to reverse engineer the why, then you'd be lost. And I talked about that in my last video, but these gentlemen, they had a why behind what they did, and now they have to answer to the consequences of those whys. But I'm under the understanding that these gentlemen were not afraid of what their why was. They stepped into their truth, and they answered the call, whatever that call was for them. Not to say they're right, not to say they're wrong, but that's what they did. And their truth is what they portrayed to the media. And I would challenge you all to ask you, what is your why? Why do you do what you do? Can you answer that question? And if not, do you need to dig deeper? And then you also have to answer, where do you fit in the grand scheme of this? Everything that we do, every entity that we're a part of, every time that we step into this world, as an athlete, you know, I was always taught the team first attitude. I was always taught to be able to look my brother in the eye and find out whether or not, you know, he was the man for the job, find out whether or not he would bleed for me. Like if I cut my arm, he'll cut his arm, we will bond. It's a covenant. In the everyday world, it's hard to find those types of relationships because everything's not built on covenant anymore. People do things just for the money. People do things just because they want to get a gain. But it's no longer a covenant. Covenant isn't as common as it once was. Now that I'm out of the athletic realm, but I still look for those covenants, and I meet great people all the time. I meet people with pure gold, pure hearts of gold. I mean, people that'll give you the shirt off their back, you know, and those people I appreciate so greatly. And you have to really look for those types of people in life, man, so you can figure out where you fit in the grand scheme, because sometimes you're an elder or sometimes you're the rookie, but no matter who you are, you have to figure out who you are in every single situation and how you fit into that grand scheme so you could be ultimately effective at whatever it is you're trying to do, because you can't be playing the wrong role. You can't play the wrong position. Right. It's important that in this game, we understand that we in an army, you know, either with ourselves or against ourselves. And you have to recruit the right people to be in that army with you, because if you have the wrong people in your camp, they may try to take you out, right? They may try to discredit you. They may try to take you down a road that you weren't really wanting to go down because of their own agenda and their own things that they want you to do. You have to really consider, you know, where do I fit in all of this? And don't compromise, because compromising is the worst way to live life. And it's a very emasculating way to live life as a man. You got to always be able to stand on your own too. So that's something that we really need to consider. We talk about the grand scheme and light leadership, man. You have to be a leader of self first. If you don't lead self, you can lead no one else. No one can follow a blind leader. That's the blind leading the blind. That's a sheep leading a sheep. A shepherd must smell of sheep, so your shepherd must understand the sheep. You must understand the people that you lead, and you can't understand the people that you lead if you don't understand yourself, right? So when getting into the concept that I really wanted to dig into, you know, as an athlete, I've been blessed, right? And I say as an athlete because it never goes anywhere mentally. I'm still in that space, so that mental agility comes from the athletic realm that I partook in for so many years. The practices, the study sessions, the film sessions, the being in the library, being around my peers, you know, just the grind, the perseverance. I gained so much knowledge in that realm of life, and I want to really attack, you know, the game theory. So let me present this for y'all. Let me show you what I mean by the game theory. Let's see. All right. So I got this pulled up here. All right, boom. So here. All right, so this is what I mean by the game theory. So pretty much, man, when I'm talking about the game theory, I'm talking about this right here. This is the example of the game theory. So here at the top of the game theory, what we're talking about is sociology, mathematics, and economics. So the game theory is a theory that I've done some research on personally, and it's very similar to any tactical dispositions that you may have learned about in any walk of life. I'm a big study of The Art of War by Sun Tzu. I'm a very strong believer in strategy, and the game theory really breaks down strategy and how that pertains to sociology, mathematics, and economics. And the essential core of the game theory is to better understand rational decision making in competitive situations. So in competitive situations, where athletes strive and athletes become great, you have finite, you have infinite strategy, right? When you have more than one competitor in a situation, you have either finite or infinite strategy at play. Finite is where you have a set amount of rules that govern a situation, and in order to be successful, both parties within the competitive situation have to understand the rules, and that is how success is garnered and is considered. But then in an infinite situation, in regards to game theory, that's where there are a plethora of situations that could pertain to success. So that'll be whether or not you have an individual who understands that being successful in the classroom translates to being successful on the football field, translates being successful in the home life, translates to being successful in relationships. It's an infinite amount of strategy that can be implemented. But the game theory says that in order to be successful, right, in game theory, you have to understand that everything is mathematical and that things will only work out the way they're supposed to, right? So there's rules, that's undefined rules and defined rules. And that's the undefined is in the infinite and the defined rules are in the finite. So the finite is like your soccer games, your basketball games, your baseball games. Those are finite rules. Everyone knows that when you slide in the home base, if you don't touch that base and you get tagged, then you're out. But in an infinite situation, you have where you come into a business deal and the person that does not care the most about the outcome of the business deal is actually the person that holds the most power. That's a situation where it's an infinite situation. This is game theory at work. Game theory says that everything can be understood through the eyes of a competitor in a game, right? So this is why you have people that, they're such strong gamers. They're such strong poker players. They're such strong athletes, and they're able to take those strategies, those chess-like moves, and bring those to the real life situations and dominate. It's very important to understand that in game theory, as it pertains to life, decisions are always based on values ahead of your interests. Okay? Decisions are always based on values instead of your interests. Now, what do I mean when I say that? I mean, when you have a situation where you could do something, right? And because you want to do it, right? Your immediate interest is, I would like to have the cookie, right? The cookie will taste good if I have the cookie right now. But my value says that I value my health. I value my peace. I value my body image. I value my love for myself to the point where I will not put my interest ahead of my values. Y'all dig what I'm saying? I will not put my interest ahead of my values. And when you talk about the game theory as well, it's also predicated on defense. So that in the game theory, you have to have a very strong amount of defense, which is why I started this stream with talking about how you have the strong human nature that says we need protection. Every human is looking for protection in every situation first. Every human is looking for protection in every situation first, inherently, right? So when you don't understand things, it builds a fear within you. The game theory says to better help us understand rational decision making in competitive situations, we will look for protection in the rules, right? You will try to find clearly defined rules so that you can move safely and be effective. But if you are ignorant and you don't understand the rules of the game, then what can happen is you'll have an irrational fear. Irrational fear will make you make unsound decisions. Unsound decisions will put you in bad situations, and it'll put you in a theoretical losing situation, right? But based on the finite, infinite principles, success is going to be different, because for the finite situations, set games, poker, football, basketball, track, whatever, you have a set competition, there is a defined success. But in the infinite situation, success could be different depending on the strategy that's being implemented and where you are at a certain place in time. If you have any more questions on this, go ahead and drop a little message in the comments and I can dig a little deeper on another video. Also, we're talking about, the endless pursuit of immediate success and a lack of stability. Immediate success is short term, it's quick money, it's boom, boom. It can't be sustained. So when we get something quickly, we have to understand that it won't necessarily be sustained if we don't understand that we have to be stable first, right? You have to be stable first. If you want to be in a loving relationship with a new person, you have to build a foundation of trust, right? You have to build a foundation of love. You have to build a foundation of understanding. You have to build a foundation of communication, because without that, if you just go into the situation looking for your gratification physically, then what you're going to end up doing is you're going to end up having that immediate success, but a very unstable situation and shaky ground. You have to build a solid foundation, and then you can delay the success, right? If you feel me, let me know you feel me. That's how it works. And you have to understand also in these games, right? In finite games versus infinite games, right? In a finite game, you have set rules and regulations. So you have people that created those games, and those people that create those games usually are the ones that run those games. But in infinite situations, a lot of times no one really quite knows. It's implied who runs those games, and that's the game of life, right? Now, in the game of life, there are finite games. You have to understand where you fall in the scope of your life and where you are currently, whether you're in your workspace, whether you're in the church, whether you're in the home. You have to understand who's really in control here, right? What can I not do and what can I do? Am I the one in power here? Do I have all the ownership in my decision making, or somebody else making those decisions for me, right? This is the game theory at work. This is what intellectuals think about when it comes to making decisions to be able to put themselves and their families in the best situation to win. This is economics. That's how it works. It's strategy. It's planning. Lack of prior planning leads to piss poor performance, right? So moving forward, also success is recognized by the individual who recognizes what game they're in, and they implement strategies that befit that game. So you can't play a game that you don't quite understand. And this is why so many athletes end up lost in the world, because they have played a game for so long that they played and they learned so well, but they chose to block out the rest of the world in order to be great at that game. And what I'm saying to all my athletes, saying to all my people in any realm of life, if you working, if you learning about working, if you a young person trying to figure out what life is, immerse yourself in everything to some degree. Be familiar with all things, get exposure to multiple varying degrees of life so that you can be able to play all games to some degree and have fun and be playful and have a playful spirit, because you'll never be an expert at everything, but you will need to know a little something about everything at some point. All right. Because what you don't know, you will be manipulated by. Right. And And also, in closing, man, consistently make decisions on values, man. Consistently make decisions on values. Don't get caught up in the hype, man. Don't get caught up in the hype. Remember, everything is up and down, like the stock market, right? Everything is up and down. Right now, today I visited, or I listened to a very intelligent gentleman who was speaking on equities and securities, stock market stuff, right? And he was saying that, right now we're in an economic downturn. Statistically, we are reaching a recession. Inflation is, about as high as we didn't seen it in our lifetime. And right now it's that situation where people say, hey, when the stocks are low, you got to buy, right? But when your values say something about how you feel about the stocks, you have to listen to that. When your values say something about how you should treat your child, you got to listen to that. Don't listen to what your mama say, right? Don't listen to what your cousins say. Don't listen to what your friends say. You have to listen to yourself. You have to do self-research and do self-reflection and figure out, what exactly do I believe in? Why do I believe those things? And what am I willing to do to protect what I believe in, right? Because if a man won't stand for something, he will fall for everything. Where do you lie on the spectrum? Right? Where do you lie on the spectrum? Really dive into yourself and figure out what your values are, what your principles are, because in this game we're playing, y'all, I'm gonna be honest with you. Y'all gonna come up against some opponents that's gonna look like, Alabama, right? Power football, strong defense, blitzing linebackers, 250-pound defensive ends that stand 6'5", and they run 4.5s coming off the edge, and they might smack you in your mouth if you make the wrong cut, right? It might be a situation where you got 6'6" receivers taking that ball off the top of your head. But at the end of the day, you have to figure out what your values are, because you have to stay consistent, because consistency breeds champions, right? Consistency breeds champions. Like, you have to be consistent at whatever you do. And the only way you can stay consistent is when you rely on a value system that works, right? Rely on a value system that works. If it works and it ain't broke, you ain't always got to fix it. If the wheel has already been invented, you ain't got to reinvent that wheel, right? Find a way to be successful within the system that's already working. Pay attention to your surroundings. Stop being a sheep. Be an individual thinker and think about what's happening, because everything is linear and everything is mathematic. It's all zeros and ones. It's all zeros and ones. Common sense ain't so common because, to be quite honest, we let our emotions get the best of us. Most of us are emotional spenders. That's why Black Friday sales are so amazing. A lot of that stuff, you don't even need it. You only buy it because it's so cheap and it's on one day. So they get you to run into the store, you fight over stuff, you run into you trucking kids. For what? For something you ain't even want before the day came. It's the psychology of the mind. And you have to understand the psychology of your own mind. Then you learn the psychology of others' minds. Then get into the situation and make the most rational decision at that given time. And if it makes sense, do it. If it was put in your spirit, do it. Like buying that Be a Light podcast host book. You feel me? Blessed to have received an offer from. I'm just messing with y'all, man. It's late, man. It's late. But all jokes aside, though, I really appreciate y'all and your support of the Be a Light podcast. I really appreciate all of my students. I really appreciate all of my peers, all of my teachers I know. I really appreciate all my coaches, man, especially my coaches, man, because my coaches, y'all grind every day for these kids. Y'all put in countless hours. And a lot of times, you may be thinking that you don't see the fruits of your labor. You feel like, am I even reaching these kids? Is this even working? Why do I even do what I'm doing, right? I've been there. That's why I don't do it anymore. The reason why I don't do it anymore is because I felt like the reciprocation from my time wasn't worth it. I was more focused on being a father. I still am more focused on being a father than, giving so much time to other people's kids, which I love other people's kids, but, we have to create this lineage. So I love my coaches. I appreciate what y'all do. Make sure that you keep standing in front of these kids and giving them your best, and y'all be a light.